All right, the time is finally here. Let's look at my Criterion Blu-ray collection. But before we do that, here's a little history on the Criterion label. Founded in 1984, on December 1st, Criterion will put out what will become known as their first big laserdisc, Citizen Kane. Their last one would be in 1999, Michael Bay's Armageddon. Quite a difference. They actually even went into different formats as well, with the 39 Steps, Lady Vanishes, and The Third Man. All three of those were their only releases for VHS and Betamax. Now, Criterion is known for a lot of different reasons. One of the biggest is probably that they are the boutique label, not a boutique label. They are the boutique label. To put that into perspective, when you look at all the collecting right now, curating is basically based on a lot of the boutique labels right there. Whether you're a fan of Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, Snaps, Arrow, Kino Lorber, or many of the others, a lot of what you're a fan of came from Criterion. You see, we often talk about the fact that Criterion created the commentary track that was done first on King Kong, which was a massive deal. But Criterion also was pushing the envelope with other things as well. Criterion were doing the John Woo titles and stuff like that before, like there's resurgence of Agent Cinema that we're getting right now. Criterion started with the letterbox format. They were really the ones to kind of push forward the letterbox format so that we could see films in their original aspect ratio. Criterion was a cinephiles collector company, and they really pushed that. They wanted to have films out there that were known as not just films, but important films, and to put them out there in the best context possible. When you look at the visual essays that we see today, whether it's from Amanda Reyes or Kat Ellinger or many of the people that do that type of stuff and do it well, or if you watch a maybe Oliver Harper on YouTube, then again the visual essay and a lot of the more academic essays, they were started with Criterion. So it makes sense that Criterion would start with the Laserdisc format, it being the collector's format, kind of like what the 4K format is today. A lot of people see that as a collector's format in the line of the Laserdiscs. Criterion's first DVD wouldn't happen actually until 1998. And where Criterion is famous for its numbering system. Right here in my hands is the first DVD that Criterion put out. It is Seven Samurai by Kurosawa, an amazing film and truly one of the important films of all time. However, Seven Samurai is Criterion number, not sure if you can see it there or not, but it is number 2. See, what was supposed to be number 1, The Grand Illusion, got delayed by about a year because they found a new restoration. That's another thing that Criterion was big on. We see companies now out there like Vinegar Syndrome and Severin doing amazing restoration work. Criterion were one of the companies that started out doing the big restoration work. And at a time when A24 has become big for horror and elevated horror and things like that, there were film companies like Merchant Ivory that really were kind of pushing the boundaries for just elevated cinema at the time. Usually, if you saw a Merchant Ivory title, it was something that that a lot of cinephiles went for. There were so many good releases with Criterion over the years, whether it was Laserdisc or DVD or when they decided to go to Blu-ray, and they went like they were usually as much as you were innovators, they were people that were very nervous about changing format. They didn't do Blu-ray until 2013, and that would be like a DVD Blu-ray combo pack to see how that would work. That's when they put out there's that Ichi set. That's when they did things like you know all that jazz. It was different. I mean, Criterion has a another kind of a sub label called Janus, which unfortunately I don't have any of, and I really want because they do like these Eclipse releases, and that are in DVD format only, and they're utterly brilliant. They have some really good films. They're pared down so that it's basically focuses on the films. They're usually featureless, but man, are these some amazing stuff. Criterion in August 11th of 2021 announced that they were going into the 4K format. And they would be doing 4K format right with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. So you got the best picture that you could get. And of course, what was going to be their first 4K? Well, the same as their first Laserdisc. It was going to be Citizen Kane. It was a full circle announcement. And for a lot of us that have been collecting Criterion for a while, we sat back and we smiled. So without further ado, I want to get into my Criterion Blu-ray collection, show you the stuff that I got, and explain it a little bit more as we go through about these releases, why I have them, and what they mean to me, and above all, maybe give you a little bit more understanding about this channel too. And I'm extremely excited to do so. So join me. Criterion brought a lot of people to YouTube with the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale. If you've watched YouTube over the years and you're a cinephile, curator, collector, then you probably have watched numerous Criterion hauls, Criterion videos, Criterion collections, and hopefully this is one of them. One of the things that you should probably know about my channel, if you're new here, is that I'm a physical media curator. I have my collection and I try to get things that I like. So, in other words, it's not just a regular review channel where you're going to see reviews done. In actuality, you're going to see a lot more things along the lines of live streams, visual essays, collection videos, and the yolk here, with the occasional review of films that I like. When it comes to the things that I put in my collection, I really value my real estate. So when I'm looking at stuff, unless I absolutely know that I want to have every single one of those numbered ones there, I curate exactly what I like and what I want. And that's what I did with Criterion. The thing is, Criterion has an awful lot of good stuff. A good friend of mine, Cinema Dave, who is a massive Criterion collector, by the way, check out his channel, has a much, much bigger Criterion collection than me. But I thought we'd look at what I got here today, and hopefully you get a better sense of me and my taste as we go through. And we don't hear too much of the cats going crazy because it's their kind of crazy time of day. Let's start off with Criterion number 3 in the Blu-ray collection. And I'm a massive fan of Alfred Hitchcock. I grew up idolizing Hitchcock's films and studying them. I read Donald Spotto? I think they did the Alfred Hitchcock book over and over again. And I just was fascinated with it. My first Alfred Hitchcock that I ever bought was a VHS of Shadow of a Doubt, my favorite Hitchcock film to this very day. But when I realized that I could start getting Hitchcock on Criterion, it was a game changer. The Lady Vanishes may not be one of Hitchcock's best known films, but it's a really, really good one. This is actually an amazing edition. Look really close, you can see the lady's face right there. See? What's really kind of cool about this is there are these characters, Charters and Caldecott, and they were kind of like background, kind of like quirky, like a duo. And they got their own film. They got their own like spin-off film. Like this is an early thing, not by Hitchcock, but they got their own like spin-off film. And it's included on there actually. It is called Crook's Tour. And it's really neat to see. We got a excerpt from a Francois Truffaut, it's like audio interview with Alfred Hitchcock on here, a video essay. with Hitchcock scholar Leonard Leff, Stills Gallery, of course, the audio commentary, a great restoration for this film, and as always, the amazing booklets that were done by Criterion. And I mean, like, they were high quality, well written, well regarded booklets. And we go from number three to a whole big step up to number four. And one of my favorite Fellinis. Um, Amarcord is a very personal film for Federico Fellini. It really kind of dives into his childhood a bit and to this kind of like small town. Maybe that's another reason that I feel such a kinship to with Shadow of a Doubt. It's another one that deals with kind of like small town sensibility and the quirkiness and the characters that come from there. I myself grew up in a small area, in a fishing village in Newfoundland called Cowhead. So so I'm someone that can actually relate to this small town and the quirky characters. Amarcord is just a beautifully fantastic Fellini film that I think is super underrated. And if you've never seen it, I definitely recommend that you check it out. I do not have the Fellini Essentials collection, just so you know. Just putting that out there. I wish. Now we go up to number 29 and we go to a Peter Weir film, the Weir film. Like, there's some great ones in this collection. And when we do the DVDs, like Criterion's, we'll see one of them there actually. But most people are going to remember him for Picnic and Hanging Rock, a fantastic film. Actually, wasn't a bad TV series recently as well. But what's really great about this one is Criterion goes the extra mile of giving you the book Picnic and Hanging Rock. Now, I hadn't read the book before I got this, so I was actually kind of curious. I don't think I had anyway. If I had, I didn't remember it. Kind of curious to see if maybe some of the ambiguity would be like explained once I picked up Picnic and Hanging Rock. Nope. But it was an excellent read though. And anytime a guy like me who loves to read can get one of these here books, one of these book things, and it's just so good. And it's a really good book. First sentence I think that always sticks you when it comes to a book. Everyone agreed that day was just right for the picnic to Hanging Rock. A shimmering summer morning, warm and still, with cicadas shrilling all through breakfast for the loquat trees outside the dining room windows and bees murmuring above the pansies bordering the drive. There we go. It's the first sentence of Picnic at Hanging Rock. You're welcome. And stuff like that really, it captures me. Of course it is a Penguin classic. Yes, of course it is. We go from there from 29 to number 30 with an important film, and I think one that a lot of people show, especially if you're a fan of like horror or the thriller genre, or just good cinema making in general. M by Fritz Lang is an incredible film, and it is definitely a star-making performance by Peter Lorre. He is absolutely stunning in this movie. If you have never seen this movie, you really owe it to yourself to go in as blind as possible. And because M is not just a killer, he is a serial killer, a child killer. There is some great stuff on here. We got a 50-minute conversation with William Friedkin. We got an audio commentary. We got some amazing stuff, documentaries, classroom audio tapes by M Editor. So they really dive into this. Look, if you live in the UK, I'd say like you can get some Criterions now. The closest thing to what we see with Criterion now in the UK is a company called Indicator that have taken on doing this style of filmmaking and this style of essays, where the essays and the features kind of matter more and go outside the box with what they do. Like, they really do dive outside the box with their stuff. Next up is one that actually was sent to me by Tim Dave, and that is Carnival of Souls, which has always been a favorite film of mine. I've always loved this movie. There's just something incredibly like visceral and wonderful about Herc Harvey's film. It scared me as a kid. The visuals freaked me out. I have no idea how I'm doing these balloons, but what the heck? I love the hell out of them. I do actually. It's such a cool film, and it's got a 4K remaster here. There's some wonderful featurettes on this one, including a video essay by David Carnes and Carnival of Souls, such a classic. You go from that to number 93, and we are looking at Black Narcissus. Powell and Pressburger are filmmakers that never should be ignored. Michael Powell did some great work on his own as well, but when Powell and Pressburger were together, they made some beautiful films and some wonderful, wonderful releases. Black Narcissus is my personal favorite. It is an absolutely gorgeous film. I love this slipcover, this artwork right here for the film. It seems unassuming at first, and that's the thing. A lot of the early Criterion artwork can seem unassuming. It can be mistaken for being boring, when in actuality it gets to the heart and the depth of the film inside it. Black Narcissus is just one of those wonderful films. There is a great video introduction by Bertrand Taverner. We have an auto commentary by Martin Scorsese, which absolutely love that, and Powell, and a whole bunch of features on here that you're really going to want to check out. And I definitely recommend that you get this film. Here's a film I like so much. I've got both the Criterion edition of it and the Arrow edition. I do think the Arrow edition in some ways is a bit better, but this one has some stuff on it that is not included on the Arrow edition. And that is a Videodrome. This was one of those penultimate movies for me. I remember the day that I saw this. I remember the day that I picked this up. I was in Corner Brook, and there was a video store next to where my mom was living at the time. And I was visiting my mother, and I remember walking to the store in the middle of the day and looking. I picked up like one of those Disney kind of like compilation, goofy compilations with the gold cases, and I picked up Videodrome. And man, was I excited. I love Videodrome. It's just one of those beautifully fantastic, twisted films that only David Cronenberg can make and make work well. We're getting like I think if she continues to go and like install that she's going, and just does new body horror, kind of does some uniqueness and continues on the weirdness. Julia Ducournau could be the next Cronenberg, but right now this is one of my favorites that he did. It's got some great stuff. What's really neat, and what this one has that other versions of this doesn't have, is it has the complete footage from Samurai Dreams. So if you know what that is, you know what that is. If you don't, watch Videodrome, because I shall not explain it to you. What's really neat about this one, I'll take it out to show you, is that it's done like a Betamax tape. So wonderful packaging for Videodrome. Followed up with number 288. Just making sure I'm getting these in order. I am. Good for me, right? And that one right here is F is for Fake. This was a blind buy. I'm a massive Orson Welles fan, but this is one that like passed me over the years. It is a documentary with a little bit of Orson Welles trickery in there, because it is F is for Fake. This is a brilliant, brilliant film, and if you haven't seen it, you really, really should. It's really good. We sat down and watched this one during Criterion sale. We always, because Barnes and Noble used to be owned by different people, and they were like getting them in Canada were really easy at the time. So we would basically, every Criterion sale, we would sit down. Me and my better half, she's a massive Criterion fan as well, and we would look and we would put a bunch of things in the cart, and then we'd weed it down to what we could afford, what we could get. We would take some of the big releases that we wanted, and every single time we would go there and say, okay, let's pick one that we haven't seen. Let's pick something that we hope is going to be a sleeper. F is for Fake was one of those kind of blind spots for us, a blind buy, and it's great. It is so great. I love this release. The next one was sent to me by a viewer, and I'm so glad he did, because it's one that I wanted, but it might have been a bit before I picked it up, and that was a loss on my part. Harakiri is an absolutely brilliant film by Kobayashi, and if you have not seen it, I will strongly recommend that you check it out. Big props for this being sent to me, because I took me a while to get around to it, because we were moving at the time, but man, is this good. This is a really, really good film. It runs at 133 minutes long. It is a black and white release, and it's a beautiful black and white release. The next Criterion I actually found. Oh no, I bought this one. Or is this one I bought at a? I think I got this at Bay Village actually, and it is Richard Linklater's Dazed and Confused. A favorite of mine. The one of at the time I guess 1993 to me seemed like more of a modern film for Criterion, and that wow, that's now like 21 years ago, but just such a good release. And if you've never seen this one, there is a great thing here with making of and just so much more. The next one was a recommendation I did during the recent Criterion flash sale, and that is Billy Waters' Ace in the Hole. This is an utterly fantastic film. If you don't own it, please do so. Here's the thing. It's hard to not recommend any of these Criterion releases because I think these are all stellar releases of absolutely fantastic films that really do belong in your collection. The only thing I can say is go with the type and style of film that you like. Not everyone likes every style of film, but I think this one here really does stand out. And again, it is a masterful, wonderfully done film. One of my first big contests that I had on my channel, I actually did a Criterion release. And that was this one right here. It was Breathless. So I actually didn't own this one. I bought a copy of Breathless the day that it came out, and I did at the time. I did a contest on my channel for that for the copy of Breathless, and luckily one of the viewers early on, before I had a lot of viewers, actually got to a copy of Breathless. It was only, I think it was 2 months later that I actually got my own copy. So the viewer had gotten theirs and seen it long before I got mine. Breathless by Jean-Luc Godard is one of the penultimate like French New Wave cinema uh, releases, and it is so wonderfully done. When they finally put it out, they put it out like well with the dual format Blu-ray DVD special edition. Features on here are absolutely stunning. We get archival interviews with Godard and Belmondo, with Seberg, with Melville, uh, video essays on here, an 80-minute French documentary about the making of Breathless, a short film by Godard featuring Belmondo. Just so much incredible stuff, and a cool, like they say booklet, but see, I think for me, when you hit at like at around over 80 pages or over, then it's no longer a booklet, then it becomes a book. My scholastic self, who grew up like reading scholastic books when I was a kid, often found that a lot of the books that we would get there were between like 70 to 80 pages. So I'll take that as a book. The next one is one of my dad's all-time favorite films, and I remember buying this one for my dad and buying it for myself about a month later. So sometimes I buy Criterion for other people before I buy them for myself, uh, not because I don't want them, but because I know the person that I'm getting it for really would appreciate getting that release. And this is Night of the Hunter. It is a wonderful film. It is beautifully shot. It is some of the most fantastically wonderful cinematography you're ever going to see. And Charles Laughton directed this one. Actor Charles Laughton, his only directorial effort, and it's such a shame because he shows such a wonderful like grasp with the camera. There's only like somebody that was masterful filmmaker and somebody like who'd been in front of the camera could really show. Night the Hunter was an amazing film. There's a second disc on here which has a 2.5 hour documentary about the film, and it's really good. Next up is one I will always recommend to people because I think that often people don't or discard nowadays silent cinema. And I really wish people wouldn't because there's so many great silent classics out there. Joseph von Sternberg made 3 right here with Underworld, The Last Command, and Docks of New York. All 3 are fascinating, extremely well shot, hypnotic films that I 100% recommend. I love the fact that they took the picture of Sternberg here and gave it almost like a little bit of a softness to it. I don't know what's doing those balloons, but I'm loving it. But it's a brilliant one, and if you have not seen this, I really do recommend that you check it out. It's a great booklet on here, and it started they started to do their Here, I love the way these are done. One of my all-time favorite films is Sweet Smell of Success. It's just one of these like really, really sardonic films with just such wonderful banter and wonderful dialogue between Burt Lancaster and Tony Curtis. It is such like a film filled with like some mean, like not nice characters, but it is such a good film. It is such a beautifully wonderful, well-rounded piece of cinema that I think sometimes it is so dark and is so sinister that people often disregard it initially, and they have to go back and like re and watch the film again before they really, really like take in exactly how good this one is. Number 562 in the Criterion Collection is Blowout, and this is one of my favorite covers that Criterion ever made. Blowout stars John Travolta. He's a sound guy. He's working on this cheesy slasher horror film, and the girl can't scream. He's trying to find the perfect scream, and he's out one day shooting like some sounds to put into his collection for basically for ADR and overdubbing and all that type of stuff, and he stumbles upon a murder, which stumbles upon a conspiracy. It's a great film with him and Nancy Allen, and this sequence here, where his sound library has been wrecked. Uh, it's just you see the culmination of a guy's work like being destroyed, and it's such an utterly like shocking and amazingly sad piece of photography that works so well, and it's one of my favorite when it comes to these here Criterion releases, and I think one of the best covers that they ever did. There's a story behind the next release. I've been having a devastatingly rough day at work and a rough day overall. We walked into HMV and I saw this release that I kind of wanted, and I said, okay, I'll get. Wasn't in the mindset to buy. I looked around, and sometimes when I'm having a rough day, I find it like it kind of centers me to go into look at physical media, whether I buy something or not. It just at the time especially it was a hard day. So we came home, and I was feeling super devastated. I can't even remember what it was at the time now, but it was a rough work day that I was done. I sat down and I'm like kind of in a funk a bit, and my better half like she looks over at me and she says, "I was gonna kind of wait on this, but I think you need this now." And she reached into her purse and she took out "Kiss Me Deadly." Oh, I got something stuck. "Kiss Me Deadly" is one of those here films that I absolutely adore. See, Ralph Meeker plays Mike Hammer, and he plays the role really well. Would this film be inspirational and influential for so many other films? I guess most notably Repo Man. But it is such a wonderful film. Cloris Leachman's in this one at the beginning. I love the case. It looks like an old school pulp, like noir novel that you'd find at your local airport spinner rack back in the day. I know a lot of you guys aren't going to remember what that is because some of you guys are younger coming in here, but if you're older, you know exactly what I mean. But it's the type that looked like the type you'd pick up and you'd read during a flight. It is just so good, and the features are amazing. I mean, I sat down and I watched this one. I watched this. Then I went back and I watched the Alex Cox like tribute video. I watched the 2005 documentary on the screenwriter of the film. I watched the 1998 documentary, Mike Hammer's Make You Explain, about like the life of the author, and then I got fascinated. I just couldn't stop, and the next night I came back and I watched with the audio commentary as well. It was such fascinating commentary too. Kiss Me Deadly is one of my all-time favorite Criterions, and I have to say, I'm so lucky that I've got a better half that knows me enough to actually know that okay, that was exactly what I needed at that moment, and yeah, I'm a lucky man. Next up is one that we both really loved, and surprisingly, we loved it a lot more than the probably more popular remake. And this is The Man Who Knows Too Much, the original. Man, did he really kind of like uh, screw over Dorsey in the remake. Hitchcock did, because the woman in the original Man Who Knew Too Much, man, she's a she's tough. She's really helps take center stage here. This is a great film. There's an interview with the Toro on this one right here. Um, Illustrated Hitchcock, an extensive interview with Hitchcock from 1972. There's a commentary of Philip Kemp. This is, and the thing is, it is a shorter film. It's 75 minutes long, but you know what? It's a it's a perfect length for this film. And although you would remake it later with the more kind of musical, more kind of laid back, more Hollywood-esque version of the film, you can't beat the original British edition of The Man Who Knew Too Much for me. Hitchcock had it right the first time. The next one was one I was shocked to see Criterion put out, actually. It's an Elo Petrie film. And I guess, in a way, aside from like films like Blowout, this is about as close in a way to maybe Jello. It's not Jello, but it's kind of that type. It's an Italian thriller, and it is investigation of a citizen above suspicion. Don't you just love this artwork right here? It's absolutely fantastic. If you've never seen this movie, it was done the year before I was born, 1970. So now you know how old I am. I'm 53 this year, or if you're watching this now. And it's just a really, really good film that had bypassed me. There's a wonderful 90-minute documentary on the director as well. It's a great one. See, that's the thing. A Criterion film can be a blind buy, and you're like, okay, I'm not sure if this film is for me yet, but you will always know, like, okay, there's a documentary on here. There's some visual essays on here. Um, you know that you're going to get, like, literally, you do get that film school in a box. You do get that feel of like, if even if I like the film and I don't love the film, the features are going to put it over the top, and they always tend to do so. Going back to the Hitchcock, once again, we get Foreign Correspondent. Again, another really fantastic Hitchcock film. I absolutely adore this cover right here. Kind of the penultimate one of those man on the run type of films. Joel McCrea is really really good in this one here, and if you have never seen it, I'm gonna recommend it. It's a great release. It's 2 hours long. Never overstays its welcome. Suspenseful. It's tight. Hitchcock, especially in like the early stuff they did, really was a master of something that we don't see so much in nowadays, and that's editing. We see films now 2 hours, 3 hours, 3.5 hours, 4 hours long. Hitchcock knew how to edit a film, and I think that's becoming a lost art with these re-releases and director's cuts and overly long releases of films. Next up is the director that a lot of people get into Criterion with nowadays. If you've seen somebody that have just got into Criterion, one of the first things you're going to see is some films by this director, and that would be Wes Anderson. This is Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I actually really enjoy this film. I never got this because it was a Wes Anderson film. I got this because I really liked Fantastic Mr. Fox. I wasn't one of those people that went and said, "Okay, now that I've gotten into Criterion, I guess I got to go grab the Wes Anderson films." So I did have grabbed a couple, but this one just really stood out as a film that I really enjoyed. It's a wonderful film, and one of those Criterion releases that I just adore. Next up, we go back into the book with Criterion, and it's 709. And this is such a good release, by the way. It is a Howard Hawks film with John Wayne and Montgomery Clift, so of course it is Red River. It's a beast of a release because the book that comes with it is really cool. You get, see, you still get the cool booklet. You get the book, The Blazing Guns on the Chisholm Trail by Borden Chase, and such, a novel. How can you go wrong with something like that? Again, this is one of the dual formats, so it's a Blu-ray DVD release with a ton of like special features. It could be a longer like pre-release version of the film on here, and I know there's the Lux ones as well. There's a bunch of stuff on this release. I just really adore it. Next up is a Cronenberg film that for the longest time was both my favorite and least favorite Cronenberg, and that is Scanners. Scanners is a wonderful film that I think gets maligned by the fact that the actor chose to play it very kind of deadpan and very kind of straight and very kind of like almost too straight. But when you, as you go through and you watch the film over and you kind of like study the film, you start to realize that that was a specific choice that that actor made. And once you realize that and you start to see like that juxtaposition between his character and the character of Michael Ironside, it really starts to work a lot more. Um, it's a really underrated performance, underrated so often by me specifically. As a guy that grew up in Canada, I grew up with a lot of this stuff. CBC, the Bob McLean Show in 1981. I remember watching that, and there's an excerpt from with David Cronenberg on here on the Bob McLean Show. So something that I love. Okay, screwball comedy? No, but sort of. Still, It Happened One Night is one of those movies that I'm gonna say pick it up. It's really really good. Clark Gable, Colette Colbert. What a great couple they make in this film. Such chemistry and so amazingly well done. If you have not seen this, I can't not recommend this to you. It is so good. A master class of editing. Don't Look Now. Nicholas Rogue's Don't Look Now scared me. I remember having the collected works of Daphne du Maurier that I got from Doubleday Book Club when I was a kid. Uh, that she'd done The Bird, she'd done Don't Look Now. Don't Look Now was one that stood out to me. And I remember when I watched this film, there is a beautiful like lovemaking sequence between Julia Christie and Donald Sutherland that is almost too realistic, and so much so that it really peeved Julia Christie's boyfriend at the time, Warren Beatty, and a tragic like accidental death. And the movie just spirals into this wonderful, beautiful like thing that makes you want to go, both makes you want to go and see Venice and makes you want to stay as far away from there as possible. It's a gorgeous film. Speaking of gorgeous films, speaking of films that are blind buys, ones that I really didn't know about until Criterion came around, Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. What a wonderful movie this is. What a great discovery this was for me. Valerie and Her Week of Wonders is a Czechoslovakian film that is absolutely gorgeous. It is one of these spellbinding films. I was literally knew nothing about this one. I hadn't seen it. I don't think I'd even heard of it before. If I had, I did remember hearing of it. And I was on the Criterion like YouTube channel. I saw I saw the trailer for this, and the sale came up. I automatically had to grab it. Next up, we have Mulholland Drive, a wonderful David Lynch film. As somebody mentioned, the only drawback is that the TV version isn't on here, because this was initially a TV pilot to be like completely honest with you. But it was meant to be David Lynch's like new Twin Peaks, and you can see that when you're watching the film actually. But the film is just such a mess for work and is just so well done that you really, you can't not love it. Last but not least, of the single Blu-ray releases, is a film that I think we've all seen in so many kind of like sketchy, iffy, whatever releases throughout the years. Because for so long, it was one of those films that was just one of those public domain titles. But it's Night of the Living Dead. Wow. Like, wow, what a revelation watching this version of Night of the Living Dead is. And it is so good. It is so well done. It is so perfect. And I absolutely adore everything about this release. The 4K digital restoration, the Night of Anubis like work print edition of the film, the new featurettes on here. We're talking to people like Frank Darabont and Del Toro. Just so much to love about Night of the Living Dead. But we're not finished yet. Although this normally makes for a longer video and a longer viewing experience, I think you guys are ready for this for Criterion. Because today, rather than break up the Blu-ray and DVD, for the context of this video, and because of the importance of the Criterion Collection, we're going to do the DVD stuff as well. So you're going to see some stuff here that has gone into print. You're going to see some earlier stuff here, some other releases here, and I'm so excited to show it to you guys. And yes, box sets will be at the end. I showed this one off previously, so I don't really need to get into it too much more now, but Criterion and Akira Kurosawa will be a really great combination, like peanut butter and chocolate. They go together so well, and I have not yet upgraded because I'm still holding out for that Kurosawa box set to come out with the updated either Blu-rays or 4Ks. But one of these days, I'm just going to break down and upgrade to the Blu-ray. But I will never get rid of my the first DVD that they ever put out, Seven Samurai. Next up is number 7, and I had a conversation, I'm actually an argument with Malcolm about this, what I consider to be the great, like Titanic movie that cannot be beaten. It is A Night to Remember. It is such a fantastic. Look at that devastatingly wonderful shot of the sinking of the Titanic right there. That there is better than anything in the James Cameron film in my collection, in my collection. Well, in my collection too, and also in my in my opinion. But what's really cool is it's a 2 disc set. There is a 60-minute like documentary behind the scenes of the film with some really kind of rare footage. There's an interview with Eva Hart, who was a survivor of the Titanic. There's a half-hour Swedish documentary, and there's a documentary on BBC about the iceberg that sank the Titanic. I kid you not, that's a real thing. Great audio commentary on there as well. And this, I remember going to my local Fres Records and seeing this here for a very cheap price. I was like, I couldn't believe that it was there. It had the Criterion logo. I'm like, is this real? Did I just find Criterion at Fred's? And I did. And it has a wonderful booklet with it as well. Well, for those that are fans of James Cameron's Titanic, and I know I don't belabor anybody that is, it just was one that I really didn't get into at the time, even though I do own it in my collection. A Night to Remember is a reason that James Cameron's Titanic exists. It was the influence for him to actually go ahead and make it. Next up, we have one that was out of print for the longest time. I was at a local flea market. I was shocked that it was selling there for $5. I grabbed it up right away. It's since, of course, gotten a Blu-ray release, but for years this was one of those kind of rare ones to get and cost a bunch. And this is the original Criterion DVD release of Silence of the Lambs. Uh, I was so excited to get this. I had like Silence of the Lambs already, like the 2 disc, I think it was MGM release, special edition. But to get the Criterion Silence of the Lambs, there was just something about it's like going out and buying King Kong and Laserdisc, the Criterion, and finding it somewhere. Just such a cool release. And it gave me a better appreciation for Silence of the Lambs that I had before. My favorite, prior to the series Hannibal, my favorite version of the character of Hannibal Lecter wasn't Anthony Hopkins. It was actually Brian Cox. I really love the movie Manhunter with Michael Mann. But rewatching it, maybe this Criterion like aspect of it made me really appreciate the film more than I ever did. It's gotten a Blu-ray release, but I was so excited to find this at at a local thrift shop, and that is the Samurai Trilogy. Just a beautifully wonderful set. I do have to upgrade this to Blu-ray, but there's just something wonderful and just beautiful about the original trilogy on DVD. I don't know if it's just the artwork or just the style of it, just the wonderfulness of actually being able to find this one out in the wild. And these here at the time, there was no special features. It's like the theatrical trailer. So if there's special features on the Blu-ray, that'll be a big upgrade for me, but I'll never get rid of my initial Samurai trilogy. I actually love these films. Here's one that got us talking, actually. That's the thing I love about Criterion. I watch them a lot with my better half, and we often sit down afterwards and we talk about and discuss the films that we watch and the kind of how we feel about it. Nothing more so than Diabolique, a wonderful film by Henri Georges Clouzot. This is a great movie. It was remade, and actually I didn't mind the remake for what it was, but this is a stone cold classic. The ending got us discussing it a lot because for those that haven't seen it and those that have, I will just say this: the kid doesn't lie. So if you've never seen it, remember those words. The kid doesn't lie when you get to the end of the film. So what exactly does that mean? We talked about that for hours. This is such a good release. and I strongly recommend it. Next up is one of Hitchcock's early films from like when he's with his UK stuff, and it's 1935's The 39 Steps. Really enjoyed this film. This does end like pretty abruptly. You can tell it's like an earlier Hitchcock film, but the deftness of like the whole aspect, of the way that he shoots this film, his direction is so like it is so good. Um, Robert Downey is actually a pretty good kind of like man on the run. I actually really like this one, even with that abrupt ending. All right, I do have some Wes Anderson in my collection, and Rushmore was one of my favorites. This is such a cool little one. I know the cover is odd, but Wes Anderson thinks his brother does the artwork for the Criterion, a lot of the Criterion like Wes Anderson releases. I kind of think that maybe he it was something that he actually said that okay, I'll give you, I'll let you do it, but my brother's got to do the artwork, and it's a really good film. I really like Rushmore. Okay, the only Criterion I found at a Walmart like $5 bin. Actually, no, this is not the one. This is the one I actually found in a dollar store, and that is Chasing Amy. I was at one of my local like Canadian Dollar Trees, what's things Canadian Dollar Shop's called, and Chasing Amy was there. I couldn't believe it. I'm like Chasing Amy, like Kevin Smith Criterion, like $4. Hell yeah! Actually, one I love this film. It's just such a good movie, and to find like this there, and I do kind of love the booklet as well. She was such a good actress, and it goes through like the whole View Askew universe aspect of it. I gotta rewatch this movie again sometime soon. All right, the very same day that I found the release for Sons of the Lambs, I walked to another table and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I really couldn't because it was a Criterion release. It was a different Criterion release, one that I didn't know existed, and I was super stoked because I was a massive fan of the band, and this was such a cool release to find. It is the Beastie Boys, and it's really cool. So the Beastie Boys video anthology. Spike Jones made I think a lot of, if not all, these videos here, and it is so cool. We got stuff here like Sabotage, Intergalactic, Something's Got to Give, Short Shot, Look Near the Barrel of a Gun. Um, the way that it's set up, oh, it came loose. Gotta fix that. Never want to have that. And there's this neat thing here called, I'll let you read it yourself, a guide to enjoying this DVD. And it is so cool. Like it's so well done. The operations manual for this, because the way it's shot. There's like different like you got to go into this. There's like different shots, different angles and stuff. It's really cool, really well done. Can't believe I found that one for $5. One that I found for under $5 for like a dollar was remember when I mentioned Peter Weir and a picnic at Hanging Rock? There's another amazing Peter Weir film that I want to talk about, and that's The Last Wave. This is really good. I mean, like stunningly good. That I'm shocked people don't talk about it more. Peter Weir's The Last Wave is a brilliant film. When I looked at this here, so this is Richard Chamberlain, but I thought this was Kevin McCarthy, like from Visions of Body Snatchers. Just look, it kind of has the Kevin McCarthy like look to it, but it is a wonderful film. It's there's not a lot of features on here, like just an interview with Peter Weir. This is like obviously an early Criterion. This is number 142, but again, that's one I would love to have the Blu-ray edition of. Did they do a Blu-ray edition? I can't remember. Okay, we're gonna get some more Wes Anderson here. Just saying, and it is one that I found early on, and that's the Royal Tenenbaums. I think I got this one. I'm not sure if I was early in collecting Criterion or if it was before I was actually collecting Criterion as a company. I just really liked this film. It was quirky. It was weird. It's Wes Anderson. It's exactly what you expect from Wes Anderson. But man, did I love it! It was just so cool. And look at this here. Look at this cover. It is just such an unusual You can tell you're getting into this unusual family. All right. I have the slip for this, but I got to put away. I actually got to slip back on this somewhere. But in case you can't recognize it, this is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Um, Wonderful Criterion release. A two-disc set and some great stuff on here. I'm a massive fan of this movie. Like a massive fan of this movie. And of course, if you have not seen this one, yeah, you gotta watch it. There is some great stuff on here. There's a write up on this is absolutely fantastic as well. So if you have not seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, you gotta see it. It's great. Next up is a recommendation that I gave on a recent video, and that's Tunes of Glory. Tunes of Glory is a wonderful Criterion film. It's a masterclass of acting, and it's a great like commentary on classism and social and the social leadism and the military structure. It is so well done. John Mills and Alec Guinness are incredible in this film, and I love this artwork, by the way. For the longest time, this was also out of print. This is one of the ones that I would pull out every once in a while to show that I had like an out of print Criterion in my collection. My better half found this in Montreal during a trip, and this is Le Corbeau. Henri Georges Clouzot's Le Corbeau. It is a fantastic film, and since got a Blu-ray release, which I definitely recommend. Love this one here. I was so excited to get this. I couldn't believe that I found it. I couldn't believe that it actually had its original booklet in there as well. And the store, which is now close up, is there. You can get the name of the store right there. It was a shame. They were closing up, and he was buying stuff for me. I was at work, and I was like in between, well, I was in a break. I had like a 5 minute break. And so she's calling me, and she's like, giving me, okay, there's this movie. Do you want this movie? Do you want this one? And she said, do you want this Criterion movie? Look her, and I really want this movie. She's a fan of the director as well. Here we go. Another Criterion Wes Anderson film. So I am guilty of being one of those Wes Anderson guys too. The Life Aquatic is such a good film, though. Obviously, this is not its original case, but the original case got cracked up in the move. But I just, again, that artwork, I love it. The next one I found at a Value Village, and was super surprised that I found it there. And that is Kicking and Screaming. I really like Noah Baumbach. My favorite is Frances Ha that he did. But this is a cool little film, and one that I think I discovered through Criterion. Now that was one of the kind of like the newer titles, like 1995. I hadn't watched it when it came out, so it was super cool to actually finally get to sit down and watch that film. Another one that we watched together and really enjoyed, and I think my better half wasn't aware that she was going to enjoy it as much, was Eyes Without a Face. What a wonderful film. It has tropes in it that you've seen so many times since, but it was the one that did it originally. So Eyes Without a Face is a wonderful film. I actually love this cover. It is brilliant. All right, here's one that is still out of print. And so flex time, right? It's such a good release. And this is Monsters and Madmen. This was like a Halloween buy for me. It's just such a cool like Criterion release. It is a 4 film set. Let's look at what's inside. We got The Haunted Strangler with Boris Karloff. We got Corridors of Blood with Christopher Lee. Just, I love this artwork. It is so mondo. We got Atomic Submarine here and First Man into Space. Just look at this art. How can you not want to have this? This wonderful, beautiful comic bookish art. Like, they got like booklets for each of these 2-disc sets. Just didn't think that we were going to skimp and give you one booklet in the box set. No, you get booklets. There's some some neat stuff here. So there's some video interviews, some like they talk about the censor cuts, their theatrical trailers, radio spots, all this stuff, and it's such a cool set. If you ever get the chance to pick this up, if you ever find it anywhere, grab it. Next up is one that was sent to me and one that I love. Is Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters by one of my all-time favorites, Paul Schrader. I'm a massive Paul Schrader fan, and this is such a good one. It has 2 alternate English narrations. including one by actor Roy Schreider. If you have not seen this, oh man, I'm going to recommend this one like strongly. You know you're going to get greatness with Paul Schrader, but just, yeah, this is wonderful. A recent recommendation from me was this one right here. Class to Risk is such a beautiful film with Lino Ventura and Paul Belmondo. If you haven't seen it, you really have to see this movie. It is a wonderful, wonderful film, and one that I do strongly, strongly recommend. Gotta make sure I'm going the right ones here. Next up is another one that includes a book, because you know I love me some books, right? And it is The Furies with by Anthony Mann. A wonderful, like, if she wasn't already a star, it would have been a star-making turn for Barbara Stanwyck. She is so good in this, and we get like a massive tome of a novel in this one right here. Look how thick this baby is. What a great read this was too. The Furies by Niven Bush. If you've never read it, let's do what we did for the first one right here. The spring wagon was ready. It had been washed and greased. All 3 seats had been put in, and the red spokes of the big wheels had a shine to them like sticks of candy. Got to read that first paragraph there, right? Because first sentence so short. But a wonderful release. Oh my! I'm so gonna mispronounce the name of this one here, but this is one that my better half picked out when we were choosing releases. So it's a Jean-Pierre Melville film, so you know it's gonna be good. There we go, right there. My better half is a massive fan of Lina Ventura, and I'm not even going to pronounce it because I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but there you get it right here. But it was a wonderful film that we really enjoyed. Next up it's a Wes Anderson release, okay? And it's the first one. It's Bottle Rocket. I really enjoyed this one. There's a really cool documentary making of in the second disc here. I love the artwork for this. It's one of my favorite of Anderson's brothers artwork for the films. Okay, the next one's a blind buy for us. But was it ever a good blind buy? See, science is fiction. It was by Jean Penleve, and he did a series of these science, documentary short films, and not all the science is super correct, but they're wonderful, fascinating films to watch. What a wonderful time capsule of cinema. We were fascinated. We watched this one. We sat down and we started watching. It's a 3-disc set, and we just started watching it, and it's got a great massive book in there as well. But if you've never seen science fiction, strongly recommend it. Okay, my least favorite Criterion in my collection. You probably know it's going to be if you know me. And it's probably one that I got to give another watch to. Maybe I'll like it more this time around. But when I initially saw this, it was not a favorite of mine. And it was this. I got this in a Walmart $5 bin, and it is the Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It's one that I probably got to get a rewatch. I've only actually watched it once. I've never actually watched the Criterion edition of this. I just saw this one initially when it came out. But there is some beautiful actual special features in it that I haven't looked into yet. And I really should, because I feel it'll give me a new appreciation for the film. One thing the Criterion does that I really love is it gives you an appreciation for films and cinema that you may not have taken a strong enough look at before. Next one's crazy. It is crazy. It is insane. Obayashi's House is a wonderful, wonderful film. If you have not seen it, go in about as blind as you possibly can. It is so cool. The features on this one are amazing as well. But yeah, Kobayashi's House is insane. And it's one of this artwork is just perfect for it. The booklet for Kobayashi's House is really cool. And it is just this wonderfully, brilliant, amazing. Just let you know how beautiful this is going to be. And by the way, this film is truly insane and beautiful at the same time. But it's a must watch. It's a frequent Halloween watch for me actually. Next up was, and this one's not in its original case as well, by the way, just to let you know, is The Wonderful Modern Times. It's a Charlie Chaplin film. And when I was picking out a Charlie Chaplin film, I had a lot of releases. previously, so I wanted something that I didn't have and something that I really remembered. And Modern Times is one of those that I really enjoyed. There's some great features on here as well. If you've never seen it, well, you've seen it, but if you haven't, you definitely need to see it. All right, The Killing, Stanley Kubrick. I love me some Kubrick. Love some heist stuff, some like just some really neat stuff. What's really nice about this one is it includes a second film on it called Killer's Kiss, which is 1955 noir from Kubrick. So we get two Kubrick films here. How can you go wrong with that? Just wonderful stuff. And if you've seen like Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, then there's something from there coming out of that. All right, the Godfather of French New Wave, the one that they all look back on as being the guy, and it is uh, Jean Vigo. So this is the complete Jean Vigo. Unfortunately, the complete Jean Vigo uh, wasn't too much. We got like three shorts and one full feature length film because Vigo died young and died early, but his films were looked back on by the guys that would kind of go and like he pioneered the French New Wave cinema, and people would go back and look at his work and say, this is where it comes from. This is where our inspiration comes from." 594 is a big one for me. Godzilla. I'm a massive fan of kaiju, and I just recently did a video talking about tokusatsu and my Power Rangers Super Sentai collection. I love uh, Ishiro Hondo's Godzilla. It is such a fantastically film. When you see like the Godzillas, like the Showa era stuff, and you realize like it's kind of silly that it can get, it's just amazing, like just how serious and how dour and how just like dark it really is. All right, not a fan of the director as like person, but I am a massive fan of this movie, Rosemary's Baby by Polanski. It is just so scary. It is it is so frightening. It is so masterful. I love this one here. This is one where I just it is so good. It's a feature length documentary on here, but not just any documentary, a documentary on the life of the jazz musician and composer who wrote the score. So that's what I love about Criterion is they do like stuff that you don't expect, documentaries and releases that you don't think you're going to get. Next up is one that we picked up, um, and it was one of those where we weren't sure because there wasn't a lot on it, just so there was an interview. But we're really glad we did because Ministry of Fear is such a good film. I know it's not going to have a lot of the special features on it, but you're just going to be mesmerized by Fritz Lang's cinematography, by just such a great, like, straightforward story, and just so wonderfully, masterfully done. Next up is a very different Charlie Chaplin film, but one I think that really needs to be seen by more people, and that is Monsieur Verdot. It is it is a harsh statement. Like he lets you know exactly what he's thinking with this one right here, and it is such a masterful film. Another one that didn't have like really have much except for like an essay, but it's an incredible film, and that's Gate of Hell. Look at it; it is so good, and if you haven't seen it, strong recommendation: Gate of Hell. One of my very first Criterion films I ever picked up was the next one I'm going to share right now. One of my earliest reviews that I ever did as well. I remember we were in our St. John's apartment, our first apartment in St. John's, and my better half was watching something downstairs. I went upstairs, and it was early on in my YouTube channel life, and I've wanted to do a review for this one here. And I haven't gone back and watched the review since. Maybe it's good, maybe it's maybe it's not, but maybe should and do like a reaction to that review because I'm actually kind of curious how it was. Uh, Purple Noon by Rene Clement is it's the original Talent of Mr. Ripley. It's for me it's the better Talent of Mr. Ripley because it stars Alain Delon and you can't get better. I'm sorry, I know Matt Damon is great, but you can't get better than that. It is such a wonderful film. There's some really nice stuff on here. It is of course by Patricia Highsmith. This is one that Hitchcock wanted really bad So when he couldn't get it, he made sure that he got the next Patricia Highsmith one. What is it? Well, look it up. Actually, it's Strange Sun Train. Strange Sun Train. The Pierre Two collection was another that we went into. Well, I went into blind. My better half knew who it was, but I didn't. And man, was this a good set. It's a 3 DVD special edition set of so I think it's all his films and his shorts on here as well. Just really good, really stuff, really funny. Speaking of really funny, man, did I love the next film. And it's a strong case for like diving into silent cinema. It is Safety Last, Harold Lloyd's penultimate classic, one of the greatest like silent film comedies of all time. This is wonderful with a beautiful 108-minute documentary on Harold Lloyd that must be seen. And this here, truly one of the greatest piece of artwork that Criterion ever put on one of their discs or one of their releases. Got some Del Toro here with The Devil's Backbone. Again, another film that you can't go wrong with. A more modern one. It's 2001, but I never picked up the Del Toro set, and I eventually want to. So I'm glad I got The Devil's Backbone on DVD, and one that I won't get rid of. One of my all-time favorites is Frankenheimer's Seconds. It is a wonderfully brilliant film, and if you haven't seen it, please do so. It's really good. It's a wonderful turn for James Wong Howe, who just did the cinematography in this one and did a fantastic job. Rock Hudson is incredible in this movie. And last but definitely not least of the Criterion DVDs is Wonderful to Be or Not to Be. One that I thought I'd seen that I hadn't. Jack Benny and Carol Lombard just kill it with this movie. Just completely kill it. It is so good. It is so wonderful. It's so magnificent. And it was such a brilliant piece of cinema to see. And now the box sets. So, Criterion doesn't just make any box sets. They kind of make some of the big box sets. And I mentioned one of them early on. The Zadichi set. Zadichi set is a massive tome of a set. And don't worry, we are going to look inside of it. Because I think it's important when it's something like this to do so. One of the neat things about Zadichi set right away is the unique book that's in this set. So it's a hardbound book, and each one of the movies gets its own like aspect with different art from different artists. And so in case you're wondering, all in all, there is 25 Zadichi films. Just check to make sure. Which goes from, there's a modern Zadichi film, but like 25 in the set, from 1962 to 1973. This is the initial release of the Zadichi collection, so it would be bigger than the set you see now because this would have Blu-ray and DVD. Zadichi, the Blind Swordsman. If you've ever seen, there's so many of these and they're so good. All the way these are done. Tales of Zadichi, Zadichi Continues, New Tales of Zadichi. Wonderfully, amazingly well done. And nice and thick to keep it all straight. Zadichi Revenge is a good one. And just kind of, I don't think I've shown this yet, but you'll see like where I say it's a Blu-ray DVD combo pack, just to give you an idea, it opens up like this, which I think I forgot to mention there initially, but they're all like that. They all kind of like open up so you kind of see that. Like for this one right here, for instance, you can see that we got the Blu-ray and we got like the DVDs that actually, because it's 3 films, you don't want to put like 3 films on a DVD, right? So we get the editions come out like this. Right up to we'd get the Zadichi Conspiracy and the supplementals as well. It's a fantastic set, and even if it is only like the Blu-ray edition that you can get right now, it's a wonderful set, and it's one collection of films that I definitely recommend you check out, and it's a must for everybody's collection. It is number 679 in the Criterion collection, and it is a wonderful set. I absolutely loved it, and I've watched every single one of the Zadichi sets. See, it's a documentary. I'll get it out right. Out of the films in the Zadichi set. All right. What number are you? I think I'm going to have to pull out the piece of paper to see before I show you guys. So I want to make sure I get these in the right order. Still not showing me. Is it on the side? Am I missing something here, guys? I am missing the numbering on this here release, and I am very intrigued. It is one of the truly great Criterion sets of all time. And I don't know what number it is. But either way, it's probably under somewhere, I don't even notice it. It's the Ingmar Bergman Cinema Collection. It is the, all in all, probably one of the greatest box sets, if not the greatest box set ever made. And there's a reason for it. Just in the wonderful way that it's done. See, first off, you get a coffee table book of Ingmar Bergman. It is a wonderful book talking about the films by title. There's write-ups, there's a whole ton of information in here. It's a wonderful book. It's a fantastic read. And when Criterion did this, I thought, okay, this is how they're going to do all their director sets from here on out. But they didn't. This is still by far and large, the best director set that they ever put out. This is the right here. And what's really nice is they could have went like just chronologically, and just okay, here's Ingmar Bergman. Here's films in chronological order. But they didn't do that. So if you know what number of this is in the Criterion collection, put it down below, because I'm kind of curious now. I'll probably find it as soon as I get off here. But what they did was they did it like an Ingmar Bergman film festival. They bring you in, and they kind of just like up it. So they start off with Smiles of a Summer Night, which is a pretty easy, pretty accessible Bergman film. You go into Crisis. The film, then Wild Strawberries, and To Joy, and the Crisis, Ship to India, Wild Strawberries, To Joy, and Summer Interlude. It kind of ends off that night, and they do it like with different nights, and like so you can actually sit back and like watch this the same way you were watching a film festival, like centerpieces, like Scenes from a Marriage, the different versions of it. There's things like Through a Glass Darkly, or The Wolf, The Virgin Springs, obviously a classic right there, Seventh Seal, The Magic Flute, wonderful films, and an amazing set. I love the way that this is done. I love the construction of this set, and the fact that they curated it like a Bergman Film Festival absolutely blows me away. It is a wonderfully brilliant way to do this. It is a 30 Blu-ray set, digital restorations, new 4K restorations, movies like Seventh Seal, new 2K restorations, 11 introductions by Ingmar Bergman, 6 audio commentaries, 5 hours of interviews with Bergman, interviews with collaborators, rarely seen documentaries, shorts by Bergman, documentaries about different films, extensive programs of Bergman's life and work, behind the scenes footage, video essays, trailers, stills, a 248-page book featuring essays on the critic by critics, scholars, and authors, including Peter Cowie, Alexander Chee, Molly Haskell, Karen Mahajan, just and so many others. It's just such a good set that if you don't have it, really it really does belong. If you're a cinephile, it really does belong in your collection. It's wonderful. My better half hates Bergman's films. She really does, and she said, "You need to own this, Aaron. You need to have this in your collection." I've yet to sit down and watch this the way that I should. I've seen many of Ingmar Bergman's films, not all of them, and I really need to go back and like just really dive into this and watch this the way that it's meant to be watched as a film festival. Now, I may not have known the number for Ingmar Bergman's cinema set and spent way too long looking for it, but everybody knows what number 1000 in the Criterion collection is. One that, a guy like me has to have. The Godzilla Show Era collection. Now, there were some complaints that you couldn't do certain remasterings or couldn't put extra features onto certain films, and Toho pretty much had a strong grasp on what they could do. So, but that being said, this is a great set. The Godzilla Showa Era collection is just wonderfully done. Let's look at some of this artwork on the inside here. Just look at this. Look at this art. It's brilliant. And it is literally a book with, again, to do uniquely different art with these releases. King Kong versus Godzilla, which is a really fun film, by the way. Mothra is very colorful, so we got a very colorful Mothra versus Godzilla. And it is, look at this, Godzilla, Ghidorah, three-headed monster. Wonderful stuff. Then you get to the films, and it, gotta get it here, open it up. And they're all done like this. Some people don't like this here, but I actually really like this. And stunningly done. A beautiful set and a great companion to Arrow's Gamera collection, by the way. So there we go. We've gone through my entire Criterion collection. For me, it's them. It's the original boutique label, the one that paved the way for the boutique label boom to happen right now. Not everybody buys physical media anymore, and boutique labels have really taken over the crux of physical media buying. It's why a lot of us are here. It's why a lot of you people are watching my channel right now. It's why we do this whole curation channel in the first place, for the joy and love of this stuff. And hopefully what's come across here are, these aren't just films in my collection that I picked up. These are things that I truly enjoy, that I love, that just make me happy. Really, really make me happy when I watch them, to have them in my collection, be able to pick them out and just watch a film, watch a visual essay, watch a documentary, listen to a commentary. Criterion paved the way for so much of that, and for so much of other companies to come in and do that. For companies like Indicator, for companies like Vinegar Syndrome, for companies like Synapse, like Severin, like Kino Lorber was even around prior to Criterion, but have really kind of come to their own in the last few years. Criterion is the granddaddy of all that stuff. Much the way I'm I feel like the grandfather of YouTube, curation collection channels. This is these are some of the babies in my collection. Some of the most wonderfully fantastic stuff that I go back to again and again. I think there's times when I forget how good Criterion are. That there's times I forget how much they've meant to me as a collector, how much they've meant to me as I moved from collection to curation, how important they were in that aspect of it. and how much they fostered my love of cinema and studying cinema. And that's one of the things that I do on my channel, and that I like to do is I'm a student of cinema. I feel like I'm learning every single day with every film that I watch, with every feature, with every book I read on it. I'm learning, I'm constantly forever learning more about cinema, and I don't think that there's ever going to be a time where I feel like I know everything. I'm going to be completely learning and learning as I go along, and hopefully you will too, and that's something that you're going to enjoy. This is probably one of my longer, not my longest, collection videos. So please let me know that you like these, that this is something that you enjoy. I put a lot of work into these, and um, hopefully it shows, and hopefully my love of this here shows, because I really do love this stuff. When I show a collection video, it's truly, it's never a flex video. It's never like, okay, I got this and some don't have this, or I got a lot of these, or I don't have a lot of these. It's just to show you what's kind of like what I love, like a little bit like to peek inside my soul, really, when it comes to cinema and the different aspects of it, and the different companies. And I love to break it down by companies and do it like this. And I will have upgrades as I get more Criterion, as I get more other companies. We will see more updated collection videos over the years, as long as you guys like and want to see it. So there we go. We've curated some Criterion. We've shown here the Criterions that are in my collection that mean a lot to me, ones that I love, and why Criterion is such an important company in general and important to me specifically. I want to thank you so much. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you want to join my Patreon down below and get these here early access videos, a bunch of like exclusive videos, podcasts, visual essays, and so much more that are exclusive to the Patreon. Check it out. If you're not somebody that wants to make that long-term commitment, you can always check out our my Buy Me a Coffee, and maybe support the channel that way if you'd like. Either way, I just want you to enjoy. Like, let yourself enjoy this here. Let yourself love cinema the way that, if not the way that I do, in your own very special and unique way. Thanks for watching The Call to Cinema, and we'll see you next time here. It has been my pleasure.